Ready? Ready?
2007.
Okay, we'll call general government meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Gershenson? Here. Taub is absent with notice. Hoffman?
Here.
Kowal? Here. Kokendorfer? Oh, he's absent with notice, excuse me. Woodward?
Yeah, here.
Quarles?
Yeah, think about it.
Fleming?
Here.
Long?
It's all relative,
Here.
right?
All right, we'll stand for pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alan's right, there's no comma.
I know, there is no comma. There is no comma. All right, we need a motion to approve the previous minutes, October 16th, moved by Commissioner Fleming, supported by Commissioner Gershenson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Approval of the agenda. I am going to switch number 3 with 2 and 2 last. So Mary can go first, if that's okay. So we need a motion to approve the agenda. Moved by Commissioner Fleming, supported by Commissioner Kowal, as amended, yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, seeing none. Public comment? Probably none. Oh, you do? Okay, go ahead. Public comment.
Water report, I bet.
Yes.
Yeah, the last community was lifted just on my way over here this
Yeah.
morning, so everyone's been lifted.
Who was that? Was
That was the
Farmington.
northwest part of Farmington
Okay.
Hills.
still not
And
taking
so,
it.
but don't forget to remind people, they still need to flush before they drink. And we have checklists on our website on a methodical approach to flushing.
All right, since this isn't on the agenda, can I ask a quick question? So in Commerce Township, some restaurants chose to close, some did not. Is there a standard? I did really not want to go out to eat anywhere in Commerce. My husband begged me and I said, there is no water. I am not going to eat when people have to boil water for their hands.
No water, they may not operate.
Okay.
But every licensed facility in Oakland County has, and has had for years, an emergency action plan that Oakland County helped to develop for the state of Michigan, which gives a step-by-step process of how you can operate safely in a boil water condition. Their activities are restricted, but every food service operator is trained in this. They know how to react to it, and we need them to be skilled in doing this because someday our community may rely on it, you know, for situations such as this. So our sanitarians made connection with every single restaurant facility to make sure their plans were in place and that they were utilizing them, asked them a few questions, allowed them an opportunity to ask questions of us. But we connected with every child care facility, every restaurant facility.
Oh, good.
Fantastic.
Good. So then there was individual owners of restaurants that closed, because there was quite a bit
Yeah,
closed.
some said that this is just too much of a problem for the type of business I operate, or, you know,
For some restaurants and stuff, they didn't wanna do
always
it.
for the right reason, they chose to close.
Okay.
And that's good.
Because I heard a couple, I mean, I don't want to say what name of it, but a worker at one saying we should not be open, they're not following anything, so it scared the heck out of me. So
Well,
I just wanted to make sure that there was something placed with the health department. I said, well, don't worry, I won't be getting anything from your facility. Thank you for telling me when he came in the cider mill.
But those
he
are the
was-
ones we
yeah.
need to react to.
Well, maybe I can tell you off camera.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to sabotage a restaurant. You know what I'm saying? Like in case it's not true or not. You know, I mean, this was an employee, so I don't want to. You know, but then that made me think when my husband asked me to go to Leo's, I'm like, no, thank you. You go ahead and right ahead and go. I'll be making my own food. Thank you. You know.
You know,
So-
our food service operators are really quite talented, and
Okay.
they know the law, and they know the emergency action plans that they've been given.
Okay.
They're online.
That makes me feel better. You
We made sure
contacted them all.
everyone had them in hand during this period, and also pointed them to it online. I myself talked to, I don't know how many restaurants over this past week and on the weekend, just, you know, that they were calling us with the right questions,
That's
which made
good.
me know that they were utilized.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah.
That you reached out and that people called you and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other comments since that wasn't on the agenda? But that was a big issue for.
It was.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. All right. Any other public comment? All right. Seeing none, we'll move to the regular agenda. Which, oh my gosh, no, I don't have my glasses, so I'm gonna blow it up on the computer, right? Forgot my glasses. Okay. Department of Health and Human Services Health Division, Invest Health Grant, Bus Stop Amenity Improvements in the City of Pontiac, interlocal agreement between the County of Oakland and the Suburban Mobility Authority for Regional Transportation, SMART. Do we need a motion for that? Moved by Commissioner Fleming, supported by Commissioner Gersherson. Good morning. No, I'm good. I blew it up. So that was
You good?
Yeah, I like the iPad. You can blow it up.
All right,
I'm like
well,
Commissioner
good morning. This is a new opportunity for me in terms of presenting on a particular initiative, and I'm actually here supporting Kathy Forsley within our health department, but my goal today is really to speak to you related
That's
to
nice.
the interlocal agreement specifically for
This is
bus stop
this is good.
improvements within the city of Pontiac. There was a grant that was received by Healthy Pontiac We Can, which is a nonprofit based organization geared toward improving health, wellness, and specifically access to healthy produce within the city of Pontiac. And Healthy Pontiac We Can again received a grant. It will be the Robert Wood Johnson Invest in Health grant. It was a grant for $60,000 that was awarded to, and it was actually a very competitive grant, only 50 mid and large sized cities within the United States. And for the city of Pontiac, our goal was to focus specifically on transportation related issues. And in taking a scope and a look at transportation within Pontiac, obviously it's an issue all around the county, but we wanted to do our due diligence to improve those transportation efforts within Pontiac, to assist residents in getting to and from work, to and from health appointments, et cetera. And in that vein, we selected 5 bus stops within Pontiac overall that we found to be quite prudent in terms of addressing. We took a look at the various social service amenities that are at and or near these various bus stops, in addition to the ridership at those various bus stops locations, as well as safety at those bus stop locations. And again, we've identified 5 stops that we would like to improve overall, with the overall goal of improving ridership, safety, and use of the system. And so within your packets, you will note that Perry and Walton being the first location that we are working towards improving, adding a shelter, bench, as well as trash can, and shelter pad, and so this will be concrete pads. And I'm getting into really the minutiae details of the grant in of itself, but what I want to overall communicate is that we've initiated an interlocal agreement with SMART. And within this agreement, we've again identified these 5 stops where we'd like to add concrete pads, as well as place various improvements at those stops. These various improvements will come to a cost of approximately $12,000. These funds are grant funded. Again, this comes from the Robert Wood Johnson Invest Health Grant Initiative. So these are funds that have already been identified and earmarked, and will go towards, again, improving the various locations. One, by adding those shelters, adding various trash cans, as well as benches, and overall just improving the use and utility of those locations. This will really be the first stage in a number of initiatives that we were looking to roll out within Pontiac overall. But within these 5 stops, we found that these being the most prudent and most utilized within the city, and allowing the opportunity again for better use, utility, and dependency of those stops.
Okay, I have a couple questions. Commissioner Gersherson and Commissioner Hoffman.
Well, this sounds like a great plan, and I want to thank you, Commissioner Bowman, for taking your time to come and explain it personally to us, but also kudos to the Health Department. I know those grants are very competitive, and that's it sounds like a great use to deal with so many, the food desert issue, so many of the problems that some of our communities have, so I think that's great.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Hoffman.
I too think this is good. Thank you, Commissioner Bowman. I have a question.
Absolutely.
Who maintains these?
Smart.
Smart does?
Yep, they are committed through this interlocal agreement to provide ongoing, they're doing the installation, and they're committed to the ongoing maintenance and upkeep of the upgrades.
Do they empty the trash too, or is that like Pontiac
I
DPW?
believe that's something they have to work out.
Well, it's twofold. It's actually going to be maintained by both the city of Pontiac and
Pontiac
Smart.
and Smart.
Smart has essentially a team that addresses the maintenance for all of their bus stop locations.
Okay.
And so just to maintain the frequency of the trash pickup for those locations, the city of Pontiac has agreed additionally to make sure that those stops within the city of Pontiac will be addressed.
Thank you.
Good question.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, we'll do roll call on the resolution.
Fleming,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Kowal,
Yes.
Woodward,
Yes.
Quarles,
Yes.
Lum.
Yes,
Motion
okay,
carries.
and that will be a automatic direct referral to finance.
Thank
committee
you.
This week, all right, and then we're gonna do number 3 now, Oakland County Board of Commissioners and Oakland County Youth Committee, Information Assistance Enrichment Scholarship. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And she won't have to wait for us. Yeah, in case I talk, if I talk too long. Halfway away.
So you have packets of information coming around.
Okay.
So what I've included in the packet this morning is basically a memo addressing what it is we did and a chart. I'll go through it for you too. But so a memo with an overview of what we did, a graph or a listing of how we spent money, you know, across programs and across communities, and kind of programs that we did. And then I wanted to tug at your heartstrings, of course, and show you a few thank you letters from kids and parents. Of course, we don't have thank you letters from every single family that receives services. But then, just to refresh your memory, I also included in the packet the original memo that I wrote, and I wanted you to be able to see the memo that went out, or the instructions that went out to all of our staff, and the application that we used, so you would just have that background. So what we did was we put it out, so it was $23,000, and we put it out to all of our youth assistant staff, probation officers, and then, you know, we're partners with the reentry program with Children's Village, so we saw them as being able to use this money as well. And so the families did not themselves apply for the money because we would get lots of applications, and we wanted it to be specifically for kids who are already identified at risk or in the system. And so we had the staff filling out the applications and explaining to us why they would want to use this money. One of the things, too, was we wanted to make sure that local funds through our local youth assistance offices or other resources were used first. And then this money was looked at as something as an addition, so that it would expand services to the kids and families. And we were pleased we spent every penny of the $23,000 that you originally allocated to us. And we were real careful with it. Like, if we had a check written for a tutor, we would send it to the particular youth assistance office. The caseworker would hang on to the check, even though it was written to the tutor, until we made sure that the young person showed up. And when they were attending tutoring, then we would send in the check. And what happened for us, just bookkeeping stuff that we had to go through, was there were some that families didn't follow through, so we could redeposit that money or look at it as not spent money. So we made sure that there was no money that was just sitting out there in the cosmos and not spent on something. As I mentioned, we have some lists for you here. So it lists on the left, we serve 70 kids altogether. And they were from these communities that you see listed. So they were from every quadrant of the county, and 58 of the referrals came from youth assistance caseloads, 7 of them from juvenile probation caseloads, and 5 of them from Children's Village staff. And then you can see the variety of things that it was spent on. We really put the information out to our staff saying, we don't want you to just spend this money to send kids to camp. I mean, going to camp is a nice thing, but we wanted it to be something that would enhance a treatment plan and specifically would enhance a young person's connection to school or career. So they were choosing in that direction, or some sort of special needs, like you see, we have some that went to SCAMP. So, with that, I'd be glad to answer questions if you have it, but that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Commissioner Hoffman.
This is a great program. Too bad they can't do more of it. Victoria here is quite an artist.
Isn't she?
I know. I liked it too. It was really good.
I know. I was glad to see that come in. I mean,
It was a creative thank you.
yeah, yeah, it was. It was very good. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Chris Lord.
Yeah, just as a reminder, this was funded out of our prescription drug royalties.
Oh, yes.
We get $1.50 from every treatment bill from the partnership we have with those cards. So it had accumulated into $23,000. So last year, we approved this program on a one-time basis. So I know Mary wouldn't mind if we would renew this program.
Being a two-time basis.
Yeah, a two-time basis.
Yeah. But we are looking at possibly another vendor as well. I'd sent out a memo, so we're in the process of looking at that. But we do have some funds right now, not quite $23,000. But I don't know if that's something if you want to take a look at in the future, possibly. Those funds have been expended entirely right now. So Mary would love if we would take a look at it.
Yeah. Gosh, Chris, and I have to apologize.
Right.
Here, I have the proposal.
I have to apologize to Chris. He's being so nice and being such an advocate for us. Yes, yeah, that was quite subtle, Chris. But that's even in view of the fact that I put his wrong title on this memo. This is his old title, because I was using the title from when I originally applied for the money and sent all the information to Chris. Now, I apologize to Chris personally. He did tell me he wouldn't mind accepting the salary of 2 positions, since he has 2 titles now. I'm not sure Michael would like that, but.
Okay, any other questions? Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you. I think this is incredible. I mean, I wonder if there's an opportunity to find additional resources, maybe potentially finding another source to match whatever the board would do. I mean, obviously there's things out there, but if there's a way to leverage, I don't know what the timeline is required in order to launch again, but whether it's corporate sponsors or other things, I think there is some value in. I think based on this result, there's a lot of support for this. If there's a way to do more,
Yeah.
I'll go in for another year.
Okay.
Especially if there's others that are willing to join us for their first year.
Yeah.
All right, well, so you ask a really good question. I mean, that's part of what Youth Assistance does all the time, is how do we pull in resources from every which way to make more out of, sometimes it feels like nothing, we're trying to make something happen. And so that was why, so I'm not really answering your question, but I think that we sort of did that inadvertently or by nature. When I put this out to staff, I said, I want this money to be used on top of whatever you're doing. So I didn't want this to be the first line of defense or the first money that they were tapping into, because it would be kind of easy to use this money first, because all they had to do was fill out the application, and this goes to our coordinating council. I sat with the coordinating council, so I of course became the screener. And so it would be real easy to just send me an application, but my thing was to them, so look for that money even pre. So what can your Royal Oak Youth Assistance Camp Fund do, or what can some local resource do? And we also, as much as we could, really had families contribute whatever they could contribute. That was one of the reasons I was real comfortable with having our staff be the screeners, so that we understood family dynamics and family resources. So we were bringing money in on the front end at every
that makes
point.
a lot of sense.
So like I said, I know that's not answering your question, but I think that's kind of built into what we do. As far as getting somebody else to match, I don't know that I
spend $40,000.
Right.
Well, well, what I did, so this, again, I know I'm not answering your question, but I love to talk about the stuff that we're doing, so I'm going to take advantage of it. I'm meeting with a family foundation who has given us money for the last several years. And the first couple years that they gave us money, it was like, well, here's some money and do what you want. And then they said, well, we're going to expand what we give you, and so we really want to know specifically what you're spending it on. So I'm meeting with him, the father of this family foundation. I'm meeting with him in a couple days. What we used his money for, I was thinking three thoughts at once, but I was thinking, oh, could I ask him to match this? But I kind of don't want to do that, because in addition to this fund, I had a fund for emergency needs for families. Again, asking our local offices to spend their money first. But if you have a mom in your office and she's panicked because, you know, she can't pay this utility bill, what kind of payment plan could we work out? And so we were using funds from this foundation to support families in that way. So I kind of don't want to shift that. We also used that money to do a Plug Into Your Future program, which was an overlay to our mentoring program. So we were exposing all of our kids in the mentoring program to career opportunities by visiting different work sites and things like that. So right off the top of my head, I don't have someone that I can call and say, hey, can you match this? But if you have suggestions of someone I could call,
I'd be some suggestions.
I'd be glad to follow up on suggestions.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Did I tap dance around that
That was
enough?
great.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll need
Okay.
a motion to receive and file the information we had from Mary. Moved by Commissioner Hoffman, supported by Commissioner Colwell. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for updating us. All right, next item is discussion item, Parks and Recs Commission appointments. We have 2 coming up in December. David Potts, citizen, and Bob Costin, citizen. They're expired 12/31/17. Do we have a commissioner expired or no? Not this year. Okay. And so those 2 both expressed interest to being reappointed. So we can have discussion about that. Commissioner Gershenson.
Okay, so I've mentioned pretty much every year that I think we need young families represented on parks, families that use the parks. And I believe there's one woman and
This
That's
woman.
me.
no minority representation. So I will
There
not
is
be
one.
supporting the 2 that want to be reappointed, and I'd like to have it posted.
Commissioner Woodward.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about this before. I mean, that our Parks and Rec Commission is nowhere near representative of our county. And as a result of that, we're not getting the perspectives, particularly from communities of color, where 1 out of 4 people in this county is a person of color and not 1 person of color on this board. I think the generational issues that a younger person's perspective is actually helpful and enriching to the overall conversation and direction of our parks. We have, given just, some dynamics that we can't address. There's some are statutory appointments from other entities, and so
Yeah.
even though I guess we can have some say, but it's not. The reality is the reality of what those entities are and what can come up. And so when we're talking about, there's only 3 citizen appointments in total. Like, this is really the only opportunity to, I guess, really be intentional about trying to add some important perspectives on this, on this commission. And, I know both these gentlemen. If they are the absolute best, then, so be it. But I think it's really important for us to see the talent that's out there and at least have them in the queue when an opportunity presents itself. But the reality is that these appointments, that there's one, I guess there's potentially 1 more citizen appointment, on the horizon, but we talk about this all the time, and then we never take any action. So I would like to see it posted. I'd like us to have a conversation. I would like to actually talk to both these gentlemen to say, hey, this is important, and what role are you going to play in helping ensure that we get these a variety of perspectives on this on our Parks and Rec board. One last thing, we have a potential early renewal of this millage coming up, and I think it serves us well to ensure that a more representative group is the leadership of this board to make that case to the broader public. Thanks.
Commissioner Quarles.
Thank you. Certainly agree with what my colleague said, but more to the point, one of the other things that that have disturbed me when I look at the citizen appointment, that you don't have any citizens from the southern end of Oakland County. I know we don't have anything that require a balance, but I think that would bring a different perspective along with diversity in the commission. So I would concur. I would like to see it posted. I hope that there are people from the southern end that will apply. If you let me know when it's going to be posted, there are places that I certainly can put it throughout Southville and other cities in that portion of the county. Thank you.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Have the two people that terms are expiring, have they asked to be reappointed?
Yes, yes, they have.
You said that, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, okay, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I mean, I guess it wouldn't hurt if you want to interview some other people to see. I can't really speak for Dave Potts. I know he's passionate about it, but I know there's nobody more passionate about the parks than Bob Costa. I mean, he is on the front lines all the time
He is
advocating
really
for
good
the parks.
commissioner.
Especially the new one up there in Groveland, the all-terrain park, and he's right there.
I did want to add that comment. Bob Costin is the Parks Commission. He is actually one that goes to all the parks.
I know, I heard.
You know,
He does.
he is really good. I mean, you know, you thinking of because he is an elder man, but man, he just yeah, right. But you know what I mean. He actually uses them. He uses the trails. He uses so that he is a good asset because he does use the trails. He knows a lot about these parks. You know, so he lives in Independence, right?
Yes.
Independence Township. So he does use the parks a lot. He's always saying this. Walked my dog here. Did this dog park. Did this trail at parks meetings. He does use them a lot. So, but I mean, we have 2 spots, so we could post it for citizens, see what we get, and I mean, I'm not opposed to that. See what we get. I'm the youngest. I'm the youngest on there, and I used to be young, but I'm not young anymore. I'm the youngest one with only the young kids on there. You know, I don't if that. You know, and that does change my opinion. Sometimes I'm no vote 1 out of 10. Sometimes on different things, you know, on different things, different trends you hear with kids using and stuff, you know, like for the parks. So, Commissioner Fleming?
Yeah, I agree with my colleagues over there, 100%. And we do need to post it, and sometimes people look good on paper, but we need to interview these people. And let's really be diligent and serious about finding a good candidate. So we'll look to people to find strong applicants for this, because we really want people that are very strong and very passionate, not just someone to fill a spot because they meet certain criteria.
Right.
That sometimes is not as easy to do as you anticipate. But we really need to be passionate about this, because this is really important. We're going to take someone who's been on here a long time and say, okay, we're going to replace you because you want to be reappointed. Let's have a good candidate and good candidates and a good field there, because we need to be really serious about this, is what I'm saying. Because I don't want to come back to the table and say, well, we couldn't find anybody that met, you know, the criteria or that was really strong and passionate about it. So let's be very diligent about this. That's if we're going to go through this process.
I think that would summed it up good. I think definitely interview if we are going to replace anyone that has been on there.
Please.
So this is due so we can post a citizen Parks and Recreation Commission spot, and then when would we want it to? When's our meeting schedule? We want to leave it posted enough, but we do want to do it before the end of the year, which is coming up quick with our meeting schedules.
So, yeah, that's my only concern.
Our next meeting is November 27th.
All right, well, our next meeting is November 27th, but we have a board meeting.
December 7th.
Yeah, so let's see. It's already, it's already 4 weeks. So can we post it to, like, the 15th of November? 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks? See what we get, and then we'll have to just send an email and say, either interview everyone or something before that. We need to do something on the 27th for the interviews, I think, November 27th.
That should work.
Don't you think 2 weeks? We could always extend it if we had to, but I'm thinking maybe the deer season, the 15th would be the deadline though.
Yeah, it's a tough time of year.
Oh, okay, so the 15th is the deadline for the packet, so we'll do the 14th. We'll see what we get. So put the word out. November 14th, it will be the, we'll post it and then have that the deadline, so we can try to get it before,
Okay.
on our November 27th agenda. Commissioner Cowell.
Well, I guess what happens if these appointments expire for a couple of weeks?
I don't,
People continue to serve.
Right.
Till there's
They
no
will
point,
continue
yeah.
to serve?
yeah, I don't think it was, so if we don't get a lot of applicants, we'll just send an email. So we'll try the 14th. If we get no one, we can extend it, like you said, and they can go, because I think someone did that. They just were still on there. Pecky Lewis had to stay on there until we had a replacement in January. And I said, oh, you're never going to leave. And we didn't have someone until February, I think. So we did that before.
Good.
We did that before.
January would be a lot easier, but.
Right. If we can try to get it for general government the 27th, we will. So just put the word out. I've said something to a couple people. So, okay.
Okay.
All right, so that will be, you got it, the 14th, we'll post it whenever you can. Commissioner Quarles.
Are there any particular requirements or criteria that the citizens have to meet other than, we don't have.
No, just living in Oakland County, I think, right? I would hope, is that it? I would hope. I mean, I hope we all get Oakland County resident,
Yeah.
I guess that's our dispute, but,
From memory, but I believe they had to be a registered voter in the county.
okay.
A registered voter?
Registered voter.
I'd have to go from memory on that. I'll send you all that.
That would make sense, though, that would make sense. We want a county member. Yeah. I don't think,
understand that.
I'll send you an email. I can't remember off the top
they have to name all the parks. No, that's hard.
How about,
I'm just kidding.
is this one where you can have a person that works in the county?
I'll send you.
Okay.
I'll
Yeah.
email you. Sure, I'm sorry, I don't
I think
know.
it residing.
That's Act 261, just to cover that statute.
Okay.
Part two. And then-
Oh, well, you have this,
Alright.
you have this, you have it right here?
Well, no, we don't have.
Oh, no, that's the same what members.
Requirements are, but we can look through.
I'll go
Okay.
look up on my memo.
We can look.
Okay.
through,
Okay, we'll look that up, but I would prefer a resident of Oakland County if we're gonna, even if we don't, for the parks. All right, so he's gonna look that up. You have direction. I don't think we need a motion. And then we just need to, I have a, motion to receive and file the communications. We just have one. I'm gonna just call on Commissioner Hoffman, because he had an itch and raised his hand. No, just kidding. Commissioner Hoffman and Commissioner Fleming. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Do we want to wait till he comes back for that, or just do it after the meeting? All right, so he's gonna come back and let us know. All right, we're adjourned. Any other business? I think